My daughter stood beside me with tears in her eyes. When my mother told us we had to wait because my sister's children had a school performance, my little girl had been looking forward to that family night for weeks. But once again, she was treated like she could wait. I looked at my daughter and said one sentence that changed everything. I said, "Do not worry, sweetheart. Tonight is going to be about you." What my family did not know was that before the night was over, I had rented a luxury yacht for $25,000 and made one decision that would completely change the way they saw me. The night started with something that seemed small. My daughter had been excited about our family dinner for weeks. She had made a little handmade card for her grandmother and even picked out her favorite dress because she believed the whole family was finally going to spend an evening together. When we arrived at my mother's house, everyone was already talking about my sister's children. Their school performance was the biggest topic in the room. My mother was excited and kept checking the time. Then she looked at me and said, "We will have to wait. Your sister's kids have a play. We cannot miss their performance." My daughter immediately looked down at the floor. She had heard that kind of sentence before. I asked my mother if we could at least have dinner together afterward. She sighed and said, "Maybe later." The children were tired and everyone would probably be exhausted after the performance. My daughter quietly asked me if we were going home. I looked at her face and saw the disappointment. She was trying so hard to hide. I told her, "No worries, sweetheart." But inside I was heartbroken. For years, I had accepted being the person who was expected to understand. If my sister needed help, I understood. If her children needed attention, I understood. If family plans changed because of them, I understood. But that night, I realized something. My daughter was learning that understanding everyone else meant accepting being forgotten. I took her hand and walked outside. She asked me where we were going. I smiled and told her that I had a surprise. Earlier that afternoon, I had been speaking with a friend who managed private yacht events. I had originally considered renting a yacht for a future celebration, but after seeing my daughter's face that night, I made the decision immediately. Within an hour, everything was arranged. A private yacht, dinner, music, dessert, a small cake, and a view of the city lights across the water. The price was $25,000 for the private event. My daughter could not believe it when we arrived at the marina. She asked me if this was really for us. I told her yes. Tonight, nobody was going to make her feel like she was second. She started crying. But these were not the same tears from earlier. They were happy tears. As the yacht moved away from the shore, she stood beside me watching the lights reflect across the water. She told me that she had thought nobody cared about her, because everyone always seemed to choose someone else. That sentence broke my heart. I told her something every child deserves to hear. You never have to compete for your mother's love. You never have to become louder or more important to deserve attention. You are already enough. We spent the entire evening laughing. She danced. She ate her favorite dessert. We took pictures. And for the first time in a long time, she stopped asking whether someone else was going to arrive and take her place. Later that night, my phone started filling with messages. My mother wanted to know where we were. My sister asked why we had left. Then my mother called. She sounded angry. She said I had embarrassed the family by disappearing. I calmly asked her one question. Did anyone notice my daughter was crying before we left? There was silence. Then my mother said she was sorry, but the school performance was important. I replied that I understood. But my daughter was important too. My mother tried to explain that family sometimes requires sacrifice. I told her that sacrifice should never mean teaching a child that she matters less than someone else. Then I ended the call. The next morning, something unexpected happened. My mother came to my house. She did not come to argue. She came alone. She looked at my daughter and apologized. She admitted that she had become so focused on my sister's children that she had stopped noticing how often my daughter was being pushed aside. My daughter did not immediately hug her, and I did not force her. Instead, she simply said that she wanted Grandma to keep her promises from now on. My mother nodded. That was the moment I realized the yacht had never really been about money. It was about making my daughter feel seen. I did not need my family to regret missing dinner. I needed my daughter to know that she would never have to beg for a place at my table. That night cost me $25,000, but the lesson was worth far more. Money did not heal my daughter's heart. Being there for her did. Sometimes the biggest revenge is not making people suffer. Sometimes it shows the person who is ignored exactly how deeply they are loved. And from that night forward, my daughter stopped asking whether she was important because she finally knew the answer.